Ever pondered what Jesus was like as a child? What if I told you at the tender age of 12, he astounded teachers at the temple in Jerusalem? Yes, you heard it right. Our story begins with a young Jesus accompanying his parents, Mary and Joseph, to Jerusalem for the annual Feast of Passover. This journey was not out of the ordinary, but what happened during the trip was something quite extraordinary. You see, at some point Jesus was found missing. But where was he? Unbeknownst to his parents, Jesus had chosen to stay behind in the temple, not to play or wander aimlessly, but to engage with teachers, listening and asking questions that revealed a wisdom beyond his years. This event, though shrouded in mystery, is a pivotal moment that highlights Jesus' unique relationship with God as his Father. Even at such a young age, Jesus demonstrated an awareness of his divine nature that left those around him in awe. Now let's delve into the heart of this remarkable story. Picture this, a bustling Jerusalem buzzing with the Feast of the Passover, and in the midst of it all, a young Jesus accompanied by Mary and Joseph. This was more than a family trip. It was a sacred tradition. Every year, like many others, they journeyed to Jerusalem to partake in the Feast of the Passover. This feast, a significant event in the Jewish calendar, commemorated the liberation of the Israelites from Egyptian slavery. Imagine the atmosphere, the city alive with a sense of reverence, anticipation, and celebration. Streets filled with the aroma of festive foods, the melody of traditional songs, and the echo of heartfelt prayers. And at the heart of this grand spectacle was Jesus, a mere 12 years old. Despite his young age, Jesus was not just a spectator. He was a participant, absorbing the teachings, the traditions, and the spirit of the occasion. He was there, not merely in body, but in spirit, soaking in the essence of this religious event. But little did anyone know this was no ordinary visit for young Jesus. Imagine the panic when Mary and Joseph realized Jesus was missing. But where would they find him? In the most unlikely place for a child, the temple. Picture the scene, the sun dipping below the horizon, the streets of Jerusalem teeming with travelers. Mary and Joseph, hearts pounding, retracing their steps, their eyes scanning the crowd for their 12-year-old son. The worry etched on their faces, the fear gnawing at their hearts. And then the relief, as they stepped into the hushed grandeur of the temple, the relief that washed over them when they saw him. There he was, not playing hide and seek, not lost in the sea of faces, but deep in conversation with the teachers. A child among scholars, holding his own, asking questions, engaging in discourse. The surprise that must have flickered in their eyes as they watched their son, not in the company of other children, but with the learned men of the temple. And there he was, not lost but in his father's house. Now, picture a 12-year-old captivating the attention of temple teachers, not just listening but asking questions that left them astounded. Visualize the scene, folks. A boy barely on the cusp of his teenage years, surrounded by the wise and learned of his time. To the casual observer, he was just a child. But those who engaged with him knew differently. His questions, they weren't ordinary queries. They were profound, insightful, demonstrating an understanding of religious teachings far beyond his tender years. His words, they weren't just idle curiosity. They were a manifestation of wisdom, a display of discerning intellect that left the teachers in awe. Can you imagine the ripple of surprise, the wave of astonishment that swept through the temple, the murmur of admiration, the whisper of respect for this child who spoke not as a pupil, but as a scholar? The teachers, they listened, they answered, but they also learned. For in his questions they found a depth of understanding, a clarity of thought that left them marveling. It was clear even then Jesus was no ordinary child. So what does this remarkable story tell us about Jesus? Well, it paints a picture of a young boy with wisdom beyond his years. Even at the tender age of 12, Jesus demonstrated an incredible understanding of his divine identity. He was not just another child. He was in his Father's house, engaging with teachers, asking questions, and displaying an extraordinary level of comprehension and insight. This incident in the temple is a pivotal moment that highlights Jesus' unique relationship with God. Unlike other children his age, Jesus was aware of his special connection with God, referring to him as his Father. This is not a claim any ordinary child could make, and it certainly ruffled some feathers, with accusations of him making himself equal to God. But this story isn't just about a precocious child. It's about the early signs of a divine mission. It's about Jesus, already aware of his role, his purpose, his destiny. He wasn't just lost in a city, He was found in a temple, signaling his understanding of his divine identity and his exceptional wisdom. In the heart of Jerusalem, in the hubbub of the feast, a young boy of 12 had already begun his divine mission. This was Jesus, extraordinary even as a child.